Everywhere here, there's a nod to what some say is a golden age. The Wellington Pit chimney, one of 70 mines dug over a 300-year period. This railway, which brought coal to the harbour to be ferried away for steel making. Memorials and plaques to those who lost their lives underground. The work was dirty and sometimes dangerous, but thousands of people had jobs. It gave them purpose, supporting communities and families.
It's nice to receive a wage of your own and know that you're earning it.
Glad to be back again at work after 18 months, and it'll be a great job to the district when everyone's back to work again.
But cheaper foreign coal and a shift to cleaner, renewable energy meant that by 1986, the last mine in Whitehaven shut. And this is it, the Hague Colliery.
Yeah, that's called the headgear, where the wheels are.
Former miner Neil Messenger remembers it well.
Best job you could ever have. I got a visit down when I was 14 and I never wanted to work anywhere else. It was hard manual labour. There was a lot of machinery at that time, it wasn't just picks and shovels anymore.
It wasn't just a job, right? You made friends there, colleagues, there was a whole community built around it.
It was fantastic, it was just like family. It's just the camaraderie is second to none.
And now they're talking about opening this new coal mine not far from here. How do you feel about that?
It's great. I want to see mining jobs because we're importing coal for steel making from China and Russia, Australia, all around the world. When we can produce it here and use it in our country and in Europe, that's cutting down on the carbon footprint. So that is a green argument.
Do you fancy a job in the new mine if it is opened?
I've had my name down on the list since it was first mentioned, yeah. Mine was probably the first name on the list.
Briefly a museum, it's now the office of the West Cumbria Mining Company, the people that want to build the new mine. A 4-minute drive away from the old Hague Colliery is the site of the new proposed mine called the Woodhouse Colliery. Now it sits on the site of an old abandoned chemical works, the Marching Chemical Works that were knocked down in 2012. Now the site needs to be cleaned up, but West Cumbria Mining Company say that once up and running it would create up to 500 jobs directly and many more indirectly. It would use old tunnels that run underneath that were used to mine anhydrite to fetch the coal from up to 4 miles out of sea, and that would be ferried away by rail to wherever it needs to go. And this is what it will look like. Costing £160 million, its owners call their mine modern, safe, efficient and green, designed to blend into the landscape.
Diversifying our energy supplies by investing in renewables is precisely the way to ensure ourselves against the risks of energy dependency. It is also a fantastic source of new jobs and growth.
That was in November 2022, and it's why Lord Deben, the chair of the UK's Climate Change Committee, which advises the government, says opening the mine is indefensible and would create another example of Britain saying one thing and doing another. Opponents like local resident Gail Stevens say there's no economic arguments for the mine, let alone the obvious environmental opposition.
I think that we need to see Whitehaven's long-term future going into green industries and into sustainable jobs, because the whole area deserves better. It really does. Whitehaven is a beautiful place, magnificent harbour, such wonderful people. The Zero Carbon Cumbria Partnership are working extensively across the county. We're only at the start of the green revolution.
This is going to produce such tiny fraction of the carbon emissions that contribute to global warming that it's not going to make a difference either way.
I just think it's a totally spurious argument. I think it's the argument of, a desperate position trying to justify dirty jobs for a town and an area that has been foisted dirty jobs all the way through its existence. It's 2022 and we're standing here having this conversation about reopening a coal mine.
Supporters of the mine disagree. They argue the coking coal could end up at one of the UK's steel production plants like this one in Wales, meaning no need for less green, more expensive foreign imports from places like the USA, Australia and Poland. But the steel industry is making no comment about this new mine. Instead, it's focusing on efforts to decarbonise by switching to furnaces that rely on electricity instead of coal.
It's going to bring 500 well-paid jobs directly attached to the mine, and it'll also create up to 1,500 jobs in the supply chain.
Copeland's Conservative Mayor is Mike Starkey.
Those jobs will almost be immediate, and at the moment there's no other viable way of manufacturing steel without coking coal. You need coking coal, and if we've got that resource here, then it's better used here than imported from around the world. You know, they've had 8 years to bring these green jobs while the mine's been getting debated, and not one of those jobs have emerged. So, you know, economically, it's a no-brainer. There's no argument to this.
Say yes to the mine and the Conservative Party can say it's sticking to the 2019 manifesto commitment to level up. Say no and the promise to lead the global fight against climate change in the same manifesto becomes harder to argue. Difficult choices for a new government. Paul Hawkins, GB News.